Hello, my name is Kirioth, and today we are going to have a little chat about some of the other pretty big changes that showed up yesterday in the article, talking about some of the stuff for new 40k. Sorry, hashtag new 40k. You've got to add the hashtag on there. They label it like that every single time, so you've got to do it. It wasn't just Space Marines getting 2 wounds that was the big news of yesterday. That's just the thing I chose to focus on because it made me laugh that I was like, there's no way they'll do it just to all Marines, and then they did, which, I mean, on the one hand, yes, that is more stuff for Space Marines. In fact, that's going to be a bit of a theme for this article, I'm afraid. But on the upside, it does mean that Chaos have got the same treatment. They're all getting an additional wound as well. So, for Chaos, lads, that is quality. Still like the fact that with Primaris, instead of going, here are some true scale Marines, also we boosted their start line to make them more like Marines enjoy, they were like, here's an entirely separate type of Marine with an actual in-universe lore explanation as to why they have the additional wound, and then, as of yesterday, went, and everyone else has got it now as well. That's the thing that makes me laugh. I don't think every single rule change needs a lore explanation, but they were pretty clear in laying out exactly why Primaris are not the same, only to then completely reverse at least a small element of that just as an aside, which is what made it funny to me. Anyway, let's have a look at some of the other stuff that was shown off yesterday, because there is some interesting stuff in here, and it makes me excited to see what we're going to get for Xenos factions specifically. So they're focusing on Necrons and Space Marines first because they were of course the poster boys of the new edition, but there's some cool stuff in here that makes me think we could see some really fun stuff for Xenos further down the line. So yeah, let's have a look. So as they say, the title says it all. And the title, by the way, because I've just realised that I started this slightly too low down. Absolute failure. New boxes, new rules, new codexes. That's the title. Look. Says it right there. So, the title says it all. There's loads of cool new stuff on the way for Warhammer 40k, and we can't keep it to ourselves anymore. Here's the lowdown on what you can look forward to over the coming months. So, new codexes, obviously. Had a bit of time to get our heads around the core rules. The next big shakeups will come with this edition's codexes. Now, this is the thing that I think this actually is the thing that's going to be the big difference this edition. 9th is, from what I've seen in terms of battle reports, it feels tightened, it feels more efficient, it feels more streamlined than 8th. Just as an observer, I've not had a chance to have a game yet. Thank you, lockdown. COVID, you pain in the arse. I think most of the big changes for this edition are going to be in the codexes. It is going to be big sweeping changes to things like weaponry and to even things like just stat lines for different units. That kind of feels like the way things are going, judging off this article. So, examples of this. They've said the upcoming range of codexes will offer much more than an update of the datasheets and Battleforge rules. There will be loads of brand new content to look forward to, expansive Crusade rules that are unique to each faction, so on and so forth. And that they've taken the opportunity to review every single unit and weapon profile for each army, and when they felt it was needed, dial them up to 11. We're not even joking. So, what are some examples of this? Well, we have heavy bolters. So, supersize your heavy bolter, now with added explosive death. These upscaled bolt weapons are set to become damage 2, as befits the unmitigated brutality of being hit by a hail of armour-piercing, mass-reactive shells the size of tin cans. I like that change. I really do like that change. I love heavy bolters. They are one of the, again, an iconic weapon for Space Marines. And, of course, for Sisters of Battle, slightly less so than, heavy flamers and multi-melters, but they still have their place. They are just badass looking weapons. And of course, what's his name? Sergeant Harker from the Imperial Guard, the Catachan, who can just carry one round because he's an absolute unit. Do like a heavy bolter going up to damage 2, feels fitting for them. There's also a change to flamers and heavy flamers, so they are moving up to range 12. Again, kind of a significant upgrade there. And all you Salamanders players, I'm sure, will be super happy with that, along with Sisters, of course. Gotta get a bit of fire in, haven't you? And have Melter will travel. Melter weapons are about to get even more destructive at close range. Apparently such a thing is possible. With a flat +2 damage bonus replacing its current ability, resulting in a whopping damage potential of 8. What's more, the rules team have put the multi into multi-melter as it's doubling up to heavy 2. So again, pretty sizable changes here. Then we have time to slice and dice. Power swords are due to get a +1 strength modifier. Again, a change I like, as befits a power sword. The clues in the name, all the better for chopping up tougher foes at any reach blade. That's not all either. The massive Astartes grade chainsaws, wielded by Space Marines both new and old, will be hitting at AP -1. Apparently being struck by a 6-foot chain blade with adamantium Apparently being struck by a 4-foot chain blade with adamantium-tipped teeth. God, what a terrible sentence. 6 inches wide is not only exceptionally bad for your health, but it can do your armour a disservice too. Who'd have thought? I am definitely not going to complain about chainswords actually doing a thing. They're still silly weapons, and if they hit anything that isn't a person, it's going to be bad times because the teeth will just fly off. As chronicled repeatedly in the Horus Heresy series, but they should be doing something more than they have been doing, because they are at the very least a whack-off great sword covered in ridiculous spikes. It should do something more than it's traditionally done. That is not a change I'm going to complain about, because again, this feels like they're actually taking the weapons and stuff and making them like as strong as they feel like they should be. But it's pretty big changes to this stuff. So supercharged plasma weaponry will soon only ever overheat on an unmodified roll of 1, so attempting to shoot fleet-winged aircraft no longer carries a death sentence. I mean, I kind of like the whole overcharged plasma thing, and the fact that it's a bit risky. I do like that a lot. I'm not gonna say this is a terrible change, but I've always been, I'm always in it for the laughs, not for the competitive play. So a random lad getting blasted by his own plasma gun, I just find it funny. So I'm not gonna say that's amazing. I mean, it's better, but I just apparently hate my own army because having them blow up from missed plasma shots is kind of funny to me. So, as they say here, these weapons are supplied by the tech adepts of Mars or acquired through less Imperium-friendly means, but they are used by lots of different armies, and so any unit that utilises the same war gear, regardless of faction, will get their weapon profiles upgraded accordingly. So, whilst it is a buff to Space Marine equipment and Space Marine weapons, it's also going to apply to anything else that uses those. So, again, pretty big sweeping changes that apply to a lot of different things here. Now, alien weaponry. But what about my lovely Xenos army? We hear you cry. Of course, they're showing the Necron stuff first because, well, they're showing the Necron stuff first because the Necrons are everywhere at the start of 9th, obviously. While most of their war gear may not be as ubiquitous as the Imperium's mass-produced arsenal, their weapons will also be looked at too when each of their codexes comes around. Mild criticism, you don't need the 2 at the end of, will also be looked at, because also is the same in that context. Take the death marks with their synaptic... I don't know why I fixated on that. Take the death marks with their synaptic disintegrator, for example. The upcoming stat line represents the deadly, physics-bending sniper rifle you would expect it to be. So, the old version. 24-inch range, rapid fire 1, strength 4, AP 0, and damage 1. This weapon may target a character even if it is not the closest enemy unit. Each time you roll a wound roll, of 6+ for this weapon, the target suffers a mortal wound in addition to any other damage. The new version, again, Synaptic Disintegrator, it's such a good name as well. Range 36 inches. Type is heavy 1, but strength is 5. AP is -2, still damage 1, but it still has the same ability. So each time you select a target with this weapon, you can ignore the lookout sir rule. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, an unmodified wound roll of 6 inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target in addition to any normal damage. So it's changed from rapid fire to heavy, but it's gained 1 strength, it's gained 12 inches of range, it's gained -2 to the AP. It still causes a mortal wound on a wound roll of 6. I really like that. It definitely feels way more sniper rifle-y than it did before. I mean, when you look at that gun, I mean, I say you. When I look at that, it looks like a longer-ranged weapon to me. I like that change. I like that change a lot. The loss of rapid fire is maybe not ideal, but I mean the extra strength, the bonus to AP, the increase in range, I think that probably makes up for it for me. Meanwhile, the Rod of Covenant wielded by the Triarch Praetorians will soon double in damage output. So as you can see, whilst the profile is mostly the same for the Rod of Covenant, they just flat out get an increase to 2 damage instead of 1. Again, again, I like it. I like it. I think these are genuinely some interesting changes that are being made here. It feels like weapons are being boosted significantly and just given more oomph across the board. Close combat weapons especially look kind of a fair bit more effective. And it does make me wonder what we're going to see for the rest of the Xenos stuff, especially. I mean, if everything is getting looked at and things are being tweaked on this kind of scale, not just like unit profiles, but the weapons they use as well, it could really shake things up and make things significantly different going into this edition. The only worry that I have, because I'm excited to see what they do with more of the Necron stuff especially, but just Xenos as a whole, as I've said a couple of times, but it's worth reiterating, we'll see Space Marines and Necrons first, and then, we'll see something else later down the line. We just don't know what order things are going to be in after the first 2 codexes. The only worry I have is that in the switch over to 8th, there was a significant enough jump between editions and the way that they worked that they had to throw out indexes. So we had the index system, and then those indexes were slowly replaced by codexes. In this instance, this is a little bit different, because the whole point with the way they've transitioned from 8th to 9th is that the existing codexes are still going to work. They're still going to be fine. But the only worry I have is that there will be Xenos factions, because I'm sure it'll be Xenos factions that end up getting the short end of this stick. The only thing I'm worried about is that, say, Necron, Space Marines, they get their codexes first, and there is a significant shift in how powerful those units are compared to their points cost or power levels. If they shift things too significantly without changing how much they cost significantly, if they don't take all of that into account whilst also looking at the older codexes, you could be in a situation where some armies are in a garbage position where everyone else has received a sizable buff and they haven't. Now, they obviously have changed the power levels and stuff. They did an FAQ recently showing that power levels have gone up and down depending. That's something that should be ongoing as people play more and as things start rolling properly with 9th. I'm really hoping that they keep on top of that so we don't end up in a situation where you end up with armies that are just either too expensive for what they do or are just languishing with their 8th edition codex whilst a bunch of other stuff is getting all these shiny tweaks and these big changes to how their weapons work and how powerful they are and the various ranges and so on. I don't want us to be in a position where there are certain armies that just do not stack up because they are still stuck with their 8th edition codex, and a bunch of 9th edition codexes have properly altered the game. That's the only thing I'm worried about. I don't know. Obviously, we don't know what their schedule is. We don't know how quick they're going to get these things out. We don't know really that much at all. But I'm hoping that doesn't become an issue. Yeah, that's the only concern. The rest of it is interesting, and I'm liking the way it's going because it's making this stuff feel like more of what it should be. Is the thing. I'm very much more of a like narrative than competitive person, and changes that make the weapons and the units feel closer to the way they're described on the tabletop, I have a hard time going, no, I don't like that, because I do. So yeah, that's the only concern. Otherwise, interesting, fun. It's going to be really cool to see how all of this stuff impacts everything, and just how sweeping the changes are, whether everything is getting altered or whether a few things will be left the same. Can be doing a lot of comparing and contrasting, I feel like, when new codexes start to drop. Oh yeah, we were wrong twice in 2 days. The question is, can we be wrong a third time? So, let's just throw one out here. The next codex, after Necrons and Space Marines, is going to be Tyranids. That's going to be the next codex. That's the prediction. That is what I'm saying will happen, which means it won't happen, and then we can be wrong 3 times in the space of 3 days. Might as well keep the ball rolling. Anyway, before we end the video, as I've been doing during the week, I want to shout out Oculus Imperia. There will be a link to his channel in the description. He does really cool lore videos, really well narrated. The audio quality is just... it's good. It's good. I like it. Great channel. Really nice guy. So if you would like to go and check him out, there will be a link in the description. Let me know what you think of these changes in the comments down below. Are you excited for the direction this is taking? Do you think it is going to be a case of the rules have been streamlined and made more efficient and more approachable, but the actual units and weapons themselves where we're going to see the biggest alterations between 8th and 9th? And if so, what flavour do you think that will take for various Xenos factions now that we have a rough idea as to the way Space Marines and their equipment is going? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things, Patreon, video. If you'd like to subscribe, that would be lovely. And, well, it's up to you, obviously. And there's an affiliate link in the description for Element Games, which you can use to support the channel. If you would like, I leave it in your capable hands. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.